Can we just lean on your experience at the United Nations? We have people like Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan talking about how dangerous the world is right now. From your perspective, how dangerous is it?
Well, objectively, you have more displacement on planet Earth than we've had since Hitler. That's bad. We have more conflict happening today than in more than 30 years. But I will say one of the priorities that President Biden had in coming into office was to rebuild alliances, to get democracies delivering for their citizens, to try to fight back against some of the more authoritarian trends, which are not just in big countries, but we've actually seen a fair amount of democratic backsliding, including in established democracies where election results and so forth are challenged. So, I think what we see when it comes to Ukraine or even the humanitarian response to Gaza is more countries digging deep to provide more humanitarian assistance. There is a lot of diplomacy going on behind the scenes, for sure, including thinking, for example, in the Gaza situation about longer term, a two-state solution, getting that political process back on track. But there are a lot of stakeholders, as you say. There are a lot of countries who are involved in that. And again, we pride ourselves in reaching out to many of those countries and making sure that we're organized, because my agency is not going to be able to deal with all the humanitarian symptoms in the world. We have to deal with root causes and end these conflicts, so that the citizens aren't suffering to the extent that they are today.
This might be a difficult question for you to answer, but how problematic is it for you to deal with humanitarian aid that's needed to get into Gaza when the United States vetoes ceasefires at the United Nations? Well,
part of the challenge, of course, is that the very people behind October 7th are still at large, still want to kill Israelis. And while those capabilities exist, of course, the military effort is continuing. We have managed to increase humanitarian assistance that is flowing in, but not enough. And there's a major food crisis imperiling the people of Gaza that USAID is, through our partners on the front lines, of trying to respond to. So we think it's incredibly important to work behind the scenes with the Israeli government, with the Egyptian government, with all stakeholders to increase that pipeline. I was in Egypt about a month ago and just saw the backlog of truck after truck after truck drivers who had food and medical supplies to deliver to the people of Gaza, who had to sleep in their trucks for 3 or 4 days waiting for permission to clear.
But why is that? Because the U.S. is in touch with the Israelis. They give them the aid. Shouldn't there be more leverage in pushing on them to?
Well, I think you've seen the exercise of that leverage to get us where we are, but we're not. Nobody can be satisfied, again, given the condition of civilians inside Gaza. But again, remember how October 7th happened. A lot got into Gaza, and it got in through channels that, when the after action is done, we will better understand. But you can understand why people who have just gone through the experience of having more than 1,000 civilians brutally murdered and all these hostages taken would be cautious about just open sesame and letting everything in. But gradually we're getting more and more points of entry opened. And again, we need to get the number of trucks, humanitarian and commercial, way up beyond where we are today.